for the BPF.
And just to agree with you, who would have ever have thought that with just over 30 days to go, there would be a constituency in Botswana that the BDP has not fielded a candidate.
Yeah.
So you can see the preparedness is not just bad on the part of BPF or the opposition, but generally also on the part of the ruling party.
Yeah.
The BDP, we were used to the ruling party holding primary elections, especially in these constituencies that are held by opposition, more than a year,
Yes, sir.
ahead of elections. Sometimes 2 years, especially during Festus Mogai's time, they would say, look, these constituencies held by opposition, we want to gun for them.
Yeah.
And the best way to do it is to prepare. And the first preparation is to hold primary elections. Because primary elections, like any other elections, are very divisive, especially internal. They can really rupture the whole structure and bring it down if they're not properly handled. You see now, look at Good Hope Matit.
Yeah.
So BDP also has a lot of things to settle ahead before elections. So it's not just Khama coming for BPF with a plate full that he still has to settle. No, nobody is really prepared, maybe other than Botswana Congress Party. We really have to give credit, and we can't really give them big credit, credit that is big enough, because they've done everything on time.
Yeah.
But like I always write, it's so sad to see that they are also not making traction. They have to ask themselves where they're getting it wrong.
Yeah.
They're not striking the note the way you would have expected. They held primaries on time. They released the manifesto well on time. And then they settled everything. No fighting internally whatsoever. Yet the public is not receiving them. Why?
Of different identities. Podcast with BCP.
Yo, what's poppin', everybody? Welcome to another edition of the PODI-CAST with your boy SCAR, coming at you from Leo's Inn right here in Gaborone. Remember, Leo's Inn, you can check them out in Tabon, you can check them out in Mogoditani. That's where you get like the best accommodation that we got. Like, yo man, we chill here and we're cool people. So this means you'll be a cool person too. But just make sure that you check them out when you're in Gabs, and they're very affordable rooms as well. So you can also self-cater for yourself. And yo, if people are coming into town, you don't need to have people in your crib, man. People can sleep somewhere else, and then you guys can regroup and have fun together. Thank you again to Local Corner, where you get this dope content every single Wednesday. And it's 3 o'clock, and as usual, PODI-CAST is on, and we're talking to another one of BW's very own mysteries and giants in our own right. You see his name and you know something about BW politics is definitely being discussed. An amazing journalist who, when I was still on the radio, known as a rapper, before people started giving me a chance to think, hey, he might have a brain. But Spencer was one of the first people that I could actually talk to about politics on the radio, and he didn't make me feel dumb. You know, so he's a safety blanket for me. Back into the line. I'm sure you know by now, former editor of the Sunday Standard newspaper and the Telegraph, and he is also a former chairperson of the Botswana Editors Forum. And today he comes in a different hat. I'm going to let him explain his new hat because he's no longer with those institutions. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, in the house we're joined by Mr. Spencer Mogapi.
Thank you very much. Good to see you after a very long time.
It's good to see you. And now we're in front of cameras. I think this says something.
Yes, indeed. I mean, we're moving ahead, and technology is changing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is very good. I think the shift that you took.
Thank you so
much.
Very
good. Yeah.
It's also always about trying to inform people and let them know what's going on, and that's why we have you in the house, because it is election season.
Yes.
They have officially announced it. October, Botswana will be going to the polls.
That's
and I don't know. Is there anything different about after this announcement has been made from the announcements that you've heard before?
I'll talk in general terms. Look, these elections have kind of surprised many people in that people think they are dull kind of elections. I think it has got a lot to do mainly with the economy. Yeah. Every other election you have government throwing around the money. This time around, the government does not have such money to throw around. We all know from recent reports that the coffers at Bank of Botswana, especially the government investment account, kind of depleted quite substantially. So the government, while it would have wanted, especially given philosophy of President Masisi, to this year be throwing money into every Motswana's pocket, they are unable to do that. And it's not they are willing, I think, but they are willing. It's just the circumstances that are way, way beyond their control. We could talk the whole night about that, but the elections are a kind of a dull scenario. It only changed somewhat last week when we saw the former president coming here. And then people got excited because he is also going to be a dynamic. He has announced already that he's coming here. So we are yet to see what is.
Is that why there's a countdown on his Facebook page? There's a countdown that's currently going on. And by the time this airs, I think we'll be on 1 day left. 5, 4, 3. So I don't know.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Look, he's coming here for a court case. Specifically, but people in Sorowe, where he comes from, are already preparing also to receive him. You know that he's a paramount chief there. So his people there are also very happy to see him. He's been gone, I think, now for over 3 years. So whether you take politics out of it, he's still a big guy.
I know. Yeah. But even then, when he did show up, and a lot of people think I don't like him on this show, and also on Facebook, but like, that wasn't a big crowd. Or is it because he came on a surprise tip? We hear that he says he drove himself on ENCA News, but that wasn't a big crowd.
And I think he would be very happy that it wasn't a big crowd, because it was going to be a big issue for security to deal with. And he had very few details, very few, maybe 3, 4 security guys around him. He also had not announced. He caught everybody by surprise, save maybe for a few people, like maybe his lawyers. They would have called 2, 3 journalists to also cover his arrival. But he didn't want a big deal because he didn't want to be a distraction. You remember also, Scar, that what is his friend and former chief of intelligence passed away recently.
Yes, sir.
And he made it very clear that he would not want to come to the funeral because he didn't want to be a distraction.
Yes, sir.
He's a kind of guy who also does not like attention.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I think that those kind of things played into the kind of a scenario that he could imagine while arriving at the court. But the big thing is that he's back at the court. People had always wanted to see him coming to answer for the charges. Yes.
But then it begs the question, though, all of that talk about him feeling that he's going to be arrested on site. Some people, conspiracy theorists feel, or there's actually a conversation that went on with the president, Masisi, which is why he, it was comfortable for him to just come. Do you think there was a conversation that was had, or all along he really didn't believe he would be arrested on site?
No, look, we are yet to see if there's any deal happening behind the scenes. Personally, I would not want to rule it out, but for now, I have not seen anything to suggest that any deal has been struck. Look, the big thing for him coming here was to show, especially the court, that he's not a flight risk. He came there and he showed up. And then his lawyers pleaded with the court, prayed that those warrants be set aside, and which the court agreed. So that's the most important thing. He has to show up to the court if he's so asked to come.
At this point in time, what is the BPF? Because it looks like, for another, train of thought, or maybe he's coming back because the BPF looks to be in shambles. There's yet another court case. Lawrence and what is the BPF looking like? Because like I said, Lawrence is probably the one figurehead that we've been seeing all along. Could he be back here to salvage whatever is left of the BPF?
The BPF is in a political mess, a big one. They are fighting internally. I think the decision that they took to leave the umbrella for democratic change was badly taken. It was a unilateral decision at very top level, I suspect, by the president, Regere Atile. The members were not convinced that was a good decision. That is why you see them in court every other day. And as a Secretary General, Ogedis, of course, his hands are full. He's supposed to be campaigning at his fighting Majaha there, but now he spends most of the time in court.
Yeah.
It's a pity, and that's one thing. So when General Khama comes here, he's really going to have his hands full.
Yeah.
I think if that is depending on time, because the elections are only next month.
Yeah.
He might want to strike a deal with UDC again to see what relationship.
With a month.
Yes, it's possible. It's really possible, especially to make sure that he wins his key constituencies. He ring-fences the rural constituencies. Those are about 3.
Yeah.
Very important that he goes into the general elections without UDC opposing him. They would, I think, agree if he also gives something.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's not going to be easy. And the biggest hurdle is time. 30 days or so.
That's why I'm really wondering on like any alliances that haven't happened by now, aren't they ill-advised at this point in time? Or anyone is trying to make any type of deals. We have the cards that we have. Why not just go and see what's possible? Because I mean, look at America, who would have thought like Kamala Harris after 100 days would be looking like a front runner?
Yeah, front runner.
But right now, with 30 days left, do you see? Because we did feel that energy. I just don't know if there's going to be any type of push for the BPF.
And just to agree with you, who would have ever have thought that with just over 30 days to go, there would be a constituency in Botswana that the BDP has not fielded a candidate.
Yeah.
So you can see the preparedness is not just bad on the part of BPF or the opposition, but generally also on the part of the ruling party.
Yeah.
The BDP, we were used to the ruling party holding primary elections, especially in these constituencies that are held by opposition, more than a year,
yes, sir,
ahead of elections. Sometimes 2 years, especially during Festus Mogai's time. They would say, look, these constituencies held by opposition, we want to gun for them.
Yeah.
And the best way to do it is to prepare. Yeah. And the first preparation is to hold primary elections. Because primary elections, like any other elections, they're very divisive, especially internally. Yeah. They can really rupture the whole structure and bring it down if they're not properly handled. You see now, look at Good Hope Matit.
Yeah.
So BDP also has a lot of things to settle before elections. So it's not just Khama coming for BPF with a plate full that he still has to settle. Yeah. No, nobody is really prepared, maybe other than Botswana Congress Party. We really have to give credit, and we can't really give them big credit, credit that is big enough, because they've done everything on time.
Yeah.
But like I always write, it's so sad to see that they are also not making traction. They have to ask themselves where they're getting it wrong. Yeah, they're not striking the note the way you would have expected. They held primaries on time. Yeah. They released the manifesto well on time, and then they settled everything. No fighting internally whatsoever. Yet the public is not receiving them. Why?
Because we spoke to Re Chili Horoba on the show as well. They look well on track. Unity Dao also, we spoke to her. They were actually even doing tours with that manifesto and having conversations with different people about what they have. I think this is months ago.
Yes.
No, but it's already. Now that you mention it, because everyone So why do you think there is no traction for them? Why? Because I have my own ideas. Or why do they think that it's a big dog that barks a lot, but it doesn't have teeth sometimes for some reason, for lack of
I will tell you, Batswana by now really into this thing of collective united opposition. And they have never, I think, forgiven BCP for bolting out. BCP had their reasons. I'm not going to question those reasons, but Batswana never really agreed. They felt very strongly, especially with the path that was being shown by those series of by-elections, that you have to find a way to work together with the main Botswana National Front. Why are you not? Yes.
I want to ask that, though, just to get you back to that Congress. The BCP will not be getting into the UDC, which just looked like a technicality at the time. It just looked like, why are you going to make this decision when you see there's an opportunity for opposition alliance? For those who got deeper into finding out about this issue, was it really about we are abiding by our rules as the BCP, or there was room for them to at least try and do something.
I think they could have tried to negotiate their way inside the UDC, tried to make concessions, but also tried to extract something, especially from the Botswana National Front. But there was a big elephant in the room, which I think had to do with the personalities of Dumelang Salishando and Duma Boko. They differed. I think they ultimately, I would say, they even hated each other. It was so bad that they were not talking to each other. And the Botswana Congress Party is a party, I think, that is formed on this culture of collective decision-making. As the president is there, but he's just one of the equals. So they did not like the style that they saw, management style waha Dumaboko. And they could not tolerate it, where some meetings were not called. At BCP, these meetings are pre-scheduled. You see what I'm saying? You have from January to December. By January, you know when the meetings are held, up to December. So that is that kind of party. But be that as it may, the people didn't buy into the reasons that they were giving. They felt very strongly that, look, we have been giving you guys a chance as shown by the results of the by-elections. You really could have stuck inside there, bite the bullet, and wait for the general elections. So this thing of the public being somewhat cold towards BCP, I think is partly a result of that.
Was that a turning point, though, for our politics in Botswana, as far as opposition politics is concerned? Because, like I say, that was the ultimate moment for the opposition to actually have taken power from Botswana, from the Botswana Democratic Party. That one election. So I don't know if now they're suffering and the undoing comes from the good faith that people had initially when that was about to happen. Now it's like, come on, guys.
I agree with you, because it has been proved time after time that no single opposition party in Botswana is strong enough to face the Botswana Democratic Party. Because of, number one, the electoral system that we have. Number two, the resources. Botswana is a country that has a very, very good economy traditionally. But that economy is all in the hands of government, no private sector to talk of. So we are talking here about a very powerful government, a very rich government. That translates into a very powerful ruling party, a very rich ruling party. So armed with those resources, taking on, you saw that what happened recently at their manifesto launch, that fleet. It's because every businessman of note in this country, they are lining up to donate to the ruling party. But also, there's something in return for supporting them, because the contracts all belong to Botswana government. You know that if you do business with the ruling party, somehow you will also get your hands oiled.
It's talking about that. I talked about party political funding on a different podcast. And things look like they've changed now. It looks like the opposition is able to fundraise on a different level as compared to the 90s and the early 2000s. What can we attribute that to?
You have to attribute it to personality of Duma Boko. His lifestyle especially. He's an ambitious, grandeur. He likes
good things. I know. I think he was a rapper in his past life.
You have to give it to him. But also he has been able to be outward looking. He goes out of the country to go and meet people who can help. And the criticism he has faced has been at what expense? I mean, basically saying, what do you promise those guys? Look, we have a very easy answer for that. These guys who are sponsoring the BDP, is it at what expense? You see,
it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
But Lorna, with that said, I mean, so we have to assume that this is definitely coming from outside the country, because we've definitely heard that if you do try and do business with opposition, there is a cost to that. It's a real life thing that happens here. So, because I wouldn't blame him for getting help out there, but like, why is it so difficult to find out who these? I guess we would have to ask the same thing about the ruling government. You're on a party political funding. Why did it die during the conversation, I think, in Parliament?
It died because it's not such a big priority for the Botswana Democratic Party, and they have the numbers in Parliament. Simple. Yeah, and they are not in a hurry to get their hands on that money. It can wait. They have the money already for elections.
For themselves.
Yeah, so it's not a big issue. They are not pressed for cash. If they were, everything else in Parliament would have gone to the back and brought that issue to the forefront. So it's not a big issue.
Talking about caucus, because before we try and get an analysis of the first term, MEK, what happened this past 2 weekends, 2 weeks ago, with caucus, the BDP not working for the first time? I don't think I've ever seen that happen in my life, where we know if there's something that's put up by the ruling party, when it gets to Parliament, they have the numbers. Usually the vote goes through how they want it. But this time around, on
the constitutional amendment. Yes.
What happened for those who really don't understand what was going on there?
This is what happened. The biggest thing, the starting point was that there was no agreement on whether that thing really was what the nation wanted.
So constitutional amendment, it's everything that was on the constitutional review.
No.
Recommendations.
That is really part of it, because people, even the parliamentarians themselves, were saying this is not even what the commission itself had written down as part of their report. These are the things that were not even said. So these are the things maybe agreed. We are not even sure cabineting or by the president. Certainly the president wanted them, otherwise they would not have been there. So there was disagreements, there was that variance between themselves about what really was going to be part of the amendment going forward. So when the president and his party could not agree ultimately, obviously there were people like Dr. Matseka, who was not there. One or two guys, and then the margins were very small. So if you removed one or two people, it collapsed. That is the 2/3 that was required. So I think all in all, and then there was Kwape, who was away also with the president. The president also was not there. So they didn't have the numbers. Simple.
So what does that mean heading into an election and you have, I guess, a house divided? Maybe on this issue, but it's not a good look.
It's actually a big issue, because that was the president being defeated by his own party. Partly. And the opposition were very clever to not even sit inside during the vote, because any one of them could easily have maybe voted with the BDP. So they chose, we all walk out. So there was nobody staying behind, because it was a secret ballot, isn't it? So who knows, maybe two guys in the opposition could, if they so decided, will have voted with the BDP. But then their leadership decided, no, we are not sitting even there, for just walk out. That was a good, I think, decision ultimately for the party that did not want to be part of the whole mess.
So do you think they're looking for those three?
No. I think by now we generally have a rough idea who those three are.
Who are they?
No,
come on.
No, because I've not talked to them about talking about making it public here, but we have a rough idea. Certainly Dr. Matseka was not there. You see, so I can talk openly about him, because he was not in Parliament.
Yes, sir.
And then there were the other guys who have always known to be very disgruntled. They've always had very big issues. But also the fact that government, especially Minister for Presidential Affairs, had refused to engage with the non-governmental organizations, just to listen to them. I think that was really, really unfortunate. If he had, and then he rejected them, but giving them an audience, that would have been a different story, because these BDP MPs would have a reason to say, but we guys, we gave you a hearing. We are now obliged to do what the party or the government requires of us.
Do you think that the president is going to act on this insubordination?
No, I don't think so. No, he has been trying to downplay the whole thing. You can see here that he's hurt. That was really annoying thing if you are a president.
But do you think he chose to take that trip to China on purpose, or if he had his way, he would still be in the country for that thing? I mean, I know they planned these trips well ahead, but
also
that was a big time. Like
He has
he needed to have
always
been there.
he has always had very good relations with China since he came in.
Yeah.
You can see that he has taken a lot of his presidency on getting help from China. But let's face it, China also helped the BDP in the last elections. That's a fact. Yeah, they don't want to talk about it, but we know that China. So he really was being courteous, especially to Xi Jinping, just to be there. You remember in the last FOCAC meeting that was there in China before COVID, he was actually given a red carpet. He was the only African head of state who was given the state visit ahead of the bigger meeting. So that was a big honor to be honored like that by China president.
But then this begs the question, because the time my questions are coming off what I hear you tell me, because I want to do it. How then do we have this relationship with both China and the US, and what are we to them?
Botswana is a very, very small country. We cannot afford to choose who we want to, especially between these main powers. It's better we try to straddle both horses at a go. We get a lot of help, technical help, especially on health from the United States. China is a rising power. We cannot afford this small. Botswana is a very, very tiny country. The economy needs a lot of Chinese money, as does the whole of Africa, by the way. So I think the policy, insofar as we look at those, is correct. But my slight worry, is that we seem to be tilting too much to China at the expense of America. Yeah, we should, I think, be even in handling these two countries.
I get it is because China is moving again, something in the belt, whatever.
Yeah. The money that they are pouring to the whole world. I think we benefited a lot. But look, the Chinese economy today is weak. And if you are to evaluate this past meeting on the basis of the resources or the money that China put out, then you would say it was not a success. Why? Because there was not a lot of money promised. Either you are talking about loans, grants, or whatever kind of money. China, its economy right now is weak to be able to do what it's traditionally been doing with African countries.
COVID happened to all of us.
Yes.
I want to talk about the first term, the Masisi. And I'm going to be, just out of 10, what would you say? If you were to give Masisi a grade.
I will tell you the truth. I mean, I was one of the people who were at the forefront in support of Masisi, because he spoke everything that the nation wanted at the beginning. And then he had an amazing public goodwill. We must also not forget we're just coming out of the 10 years of Ian Khama, and especially the media. We've very, very much hated Ian Khama. There were too many arrests, but also Khama just was impatient with the media.
Lena, you were one of those guys, God.
Yes. So for Masisi, all he needed to do was just to do the opposite of everything that Khama did. Just that. He was not required to do any miracles. No.
Is this what they're talking about? I'm looking at an article here that was written, that's why people think that he's going to be a one-term president, because there was an euphoria that was accompanied by goodwill of Batswana because of that. And that's why he won, according to a lot of people. Are you of the same idea that this is why he was able to then get elected?
No, you know the system very well. Look, he came in as a result of the fact that he was vice president. For those 2 years, there was no election, at least not national elections. There was a lot of goodwill, like I'm saying, that accompanied his arrival. People really wanted to give him a chance. And the reason why, especially the UDC, performed so badly when we came to 2019, it was because it was deemed to be trying to save Ian Khama back into the state power. You see?
I remember that one. How did that happen? I mean, because they painted a really, really horrible picture of him for 10 years, and then out of nowhere, now they're buddy with
they miscalculated. That was the time when Ian Khama was still very, very unpopular. So they should not have had anything to do with him. So, but they were desperate. They thought that he's a popular guy. They could get something, especially in the Central District, as it then was called. They didn't. In fact, the whole country was against Khama, and they were really worried because Masisi had, not Masisi, just Masisi, but the BDP had been able to message this thing that Khama was coming back. He wanted to get rid of Masisi so that he could come back. And people did not want Khama again back into the State House. But then fast track now to 2024. People are now well aware that Khama is not coming back. They feel that Masisi has wasted a lot of time chasing Khama. That has distracted him as being the president. He has not given priority to running the government and the state. He's allowed himself to become too petty because of this issue, 100 billion, what. So people are now very, very unhappy with Masisi. But that, of course, comes to being incumbents. If you are in power, you make mistakes. People hate you because you also have to take certain decisions. You are held accountable of many things, even those that not necessarily you caused. So that is where we are now.
But you still got to give me out of 10.
Yes. Okay. You mean what grade? Grade Masisi. I would give him a 5.
Oh my word!
Yeah, I would give him a 5. And
that's a passing.
I'm being very generous, by the way.
What are your comments next to the grade?
Next to the comments, I would say the student could have done much better had he stuck to
50.
He really had a chance to perform much better had he stuck to his initial principles. He's a promising student, but
I'm sure someone is watching this right now and having a fit. I mean, okay, I really don't know what he could have done better.
No, look,
when I'm sitting here thinking about it, okay, 50 is harsh, Spence.
Masisi is easily distracted. He doesn't stay on course. He easily loses the message. If I was his speechwriter, I would be very, very worried the moment I see him looking outside his speech. Because that is when you know that something is going to come out.
No, maybe he's just having fun. I think he talked about it at the lunch, at the breakfast with the creatives. About a lot of his companions, how is he so in touch with the young people? I think it's probably the campaign managers that need talking to. Stick to the script. Because now they're going to make you look like you're being playful. Because when he was talking about it, it was like someone trying to say, guys,
yes.
Hey, that's my core business. This is your core business to entertain. But I think he's becoming aware of it. But are going to make fun of that and take away from the seriousness of him being the first citizen.
Yeah. That's the thing. I think he really has to attach the seriousness that is required of that office.
The
other day I was talking to one leader of opposition, and he told me, the biggest problem with Masisi is that he's playful. He never really gets serious. And sometimes you also want to say, look, the man needs to relax sometimes. But for him, he over-relaxes.
No, I know. I can get how that can be a problem.
It can be a real problem.
For someone who's leading a country.
Yes, and also for the people who the president is managed by his own people surrounding him. So you manage a person who is that powerful, who you cannot immediately run to the podium and say, please, get to the script. What do you say? But also once the president makes a statement, you cannot send the vice president to say, go and correct it to follow in the... No, nobody corrects it. So they have to bite the bullet and hope that it goes away and gets out of the public psyche. That's the unfortunate part, because once you make the statement as the president, you don't bluff.
But okay, then Spence, when we look at it like from a distance, well, not from a distance, but when we look at it, is he going to win a second term?
Yes, that's a very, very important question that you are asking. I will tell you the truth. At Soho Advisor, which we do also the polls, we do all sorts of campaign advisories.
Yes, sir.
We have been doing the numbers.
You're not at Bosandi standard now.
Not anymore.
You're doing the Soho Advisory.
So we have been trying to track, especially the constituencies, the sentiments, what each constituency wants, the key issues, evaluating also the candidates now that many of them are now known. Yes, and every day, every week, things change. I will tell you what we are now saying. it may well be that at election time, the BDP could win landslide.
Yeah.
Total sweeping of everything. But it is also possible that they could be in for a big, big defeat. Yeah. Because everything is fluid. Yeah. We might even end up with a hung parliament where we would have maybe 2 opposition parties gaining up against the BDP. Who knows? Yeah. And for me, a government. So anything is possible, to answer your question. Yeah, and it's mainly because of exactly the many issues that we talked about. Number 1, the economy. Number 2, people that feel very strongly that Masisi has not lived up to his pledges and expectations and their aspirations. And lastly, I will tell you one thing. People in the rural areas, which are a strong component of the BDP, now they are suffering, they are hating like hell when it comes to the economy. People are literally starving.
So, are we in a position where, in Botswana, you see a government of national unity working? Like, are we that mature of a democracy? I mean, we've been a democracy for 50 plus years, but we've never had a different government.
That's true.
So
that's
I
true.
don't know if that came to be. Do you think we could be able to make
and I will tell you, for all his weaknesses, that is the President Masisi, he is the guy who would be able to put together such a government. Because he's very flexible. Yeah. He also listens. But the problem is that he does not, for most of the time, honor the promises that he has made. But he's very, very flexible. And to create a government of national unity, you really need to be willing to make big concessions, big compromises. And he's that guy. He doesn't come across as some guy who is held hostage by his ego. Even though, of course, at times, because but it's mainly a result of the fact that he also does not like sharing power. He sees himself as the Messiah.
Because the people feel he saved us from this tyrant that came before him. But I don't know if that's wearing off from a lot of people.
No, it has long. In fact, trying to remind people of Ian Khama's days is a waste of time now. People see him as this powerless old man. You saw him last week. He was there. So he's not the kind of guy who is coming back to take power. In fact, now people, and I'm serious here, many people feel very sympathetic to him. They feel that he's been hounded out of the country. Masisi could easily have ignored him. Masisi, he has the whole state apparatus behind him. Why worry about a guy? He's not going to overthrow a government.
Shame. Man, when you see those pictures, Facebook, come back home.
No, he has. Look, myself as a journalist, the other day I drove the reporter was Sunday Standard, Nabidwa Edgar Tsiman. He was running away from government.
Oh,
So at night he called.
You were the one who
I drove
aided
him.
and abetted.
I drove him across the border.
Guys, Google Edgar Tsimani and find out a true BW journalist story.
So I could not stop Edgar. He was telling me on the phone, Spencer, if you are not here in an hour, I'm gone. Edgar did not have money to start with for the combi to cross the border. So what I did around 1 o'clock, I took my car at night, drove him, crossed the border. No, I drove him before I crossed the border, and I gave him all the money I had. I think it was around 500. I had some money in my pocket. I gave him and said, good luck. And then that was it.
That's how Edgar left.
And then he spent 4 years, close to 5 years, by the way, away from the country. So what I'm trying to answer is, it's not going to be easy to convince Khama to come back, especially as he says he fears for his life. Somebody who fears for his life, because you don't know how he feels, you are not going to convince him to come or to stay.
This whole I'm scared for my life thing, Spencer, and I want you to give me even some of the stuff that you don't usually write. Why are people so scared for their lives? Baboni?
I will tell you, starting with government Ian Khama, we had a very, very strong and reckless intelligence agency. And then came Masisi Magosi now promised that it was going to change. Yeah, but people look back and they said, this is not what was promised. This agency is still doing all sorts of things that we would not have wanted. So the trust is not there. I'll tell you, if you go to United States of America, if you go to Israel, there's this attachment to intelligence, to Botswana, not Botswana, to the defense force, Mossad, to the army. Whether it's Mossad, Shin Bet, or IDF. People, the civilians like those institutions. They rely on those institutions for their very survival, including in America. So here there's a distrust. I think there's a big room of improvement. Whoever comes and tries to remodel the whole thing so that the public especially gets to be attached and to like this institution and to look at them not as enemies who are listening to them, no, but as enemies who are all out to protect them. That person is going to be, that politician would have succeeded in doing what everybody has failed since the formation of the DIS.
The intelligence community in this country is very interesting because climate that thing, I get halogani sharp, on a lay on the DIS, on a lay MI, on a CID, and then DCEC law.
It is intelligence too.
So how do you align these things so that you're able to get adequate information? And on top of that, we've heard about espionage between agencies as well. So I don't know if we keep opening up government departments because whoever comes in feels like it. Why are things not aligned? And
I'll tell you one thing, Scar.
Ombudsman.
Yeah, but the real intelligence agencies in this country, I think the big one would be DIS, then there would be DCEC, then there would be MI, the military intelligence, and then of course police. They have their own small, it's no longer as big as it used to be. But they can easily work together. If you take a bigger country like the United States, I think there would be over 20 of those institutions, similar institutions, but they have to be coordinated ultimately. And coordinating does not mean one institution bullying the others. No, it means basically knowing where this one works, where the other works, so that there's no overlap, there's no head-on collisions happening. But respect, and also respect for the law. Everyone knowing their mandate, that's the best thing, I think.
Let's talk about nepotism, because that's been a big accusation towards President Masisi. Do you see this affecting his popularity or his day at the polls? People feel like the Pula is circulating amongst his family.
I think I don't have the real facts other than what we have seen in the
allegedly
papers. I'll tell you, the opposition especially has been able to really coin this thing to their advantage, that the family, the firm as it is benefiting, and some of the people in the family were never in business, but since the brother came in, they are now the leading business people insofar as extracting big tenders, big contracts from government.
That's the allegation.
They are talking about 500 million. That is what is in the papers. But look,
that's a lot of money.
No, it's a lot of money, but to be fair also to the Masisi family, that's the kind of money that we see the Chinese contracts winning every day. So why should every week? Why should it be such a big issue when it's a Botswana getting it? I mean, if it was you, Scar.
It's the president's brother. I think that's what they're mad about. Or it's too close to comfort. I mean, I read up on these stories, and you never really know what's true or not.
No, I think that's the problem. I think they've not been able to manage their business side as the ruling family. They've also allowed themselves to be too close to business people. Be they the Asians. And that can be very, very damaging. I don't see him recovering from it. Whether he also, I think, lacks people to manage his PR, his communications, because there are many things that Botswana government is doing well, but they're not bringing it out. So ultimately, why is he the only person in government that we see going out?
That's a good question, and I think it leads me to my next question. He was the Jeff Ramsey of the current administration. We don't know how true it is, these allegations of him trying to put together a lawsuit. I don't know if that was true because you can't sue the president. Immunity.
No.
Do you know anything about what happened to him as the mouthpiece?
No, I will tell you this. I worked with Batali and he worked under me. I was his editor. So Batali is a strong-willed guy, strong personality if you know him.
Yes, sir.
I suspect he would have become too much to handle for many people in office of the president. Yeah, because they didn't know. But also, you have to be. He was coming from outside. He's not a civil servant, not a career civil servant.
But there was a lot of those people. It's on the technocrat. So from
the private sector.
From the private sector.
Yeah.
And we all thought, because we see it happening in America, in South Africa, where people are from big business or know some trade, they get into government so that they can spruce up whatever department that they get into. And I didn't know what to think about it, but I think he was one of those people.
He was, but there was a lot of resistance from the career civil servants. No, because they look at you as an outsider. Yeah, it's natural. Yes, but also you are not oiled the way they would have wanted or the way they are used to. Your language that you are bringing, the systems that you want to follow. Because if you are from the private sector, you don't want to wait for 5 days. No, you come up with an idea. You want it implemented. Later on, you go again to the PS and say, hey, but what happened? I told you my proposal. How far are we? And that's only after 30 minutes. so they know. Then they say, what is this boy up to? You see, that kind of thing. But Tali, I suspect he would have fallen foul to those things. But ultimately, I don't know. I've heard from him the other day that he would be writing his memoirs. Maybe it will come out in those.
We can't wait to read them.
To read those,
Because it was really unfortunate. I mean, I ran into Jeff Ramsey. We were supposed to get him on the show soon. And he got fired. And what happened?
He was clearly, Jeff was clearly angry. Look, but we have to be honest. Jeff, coming from the United States, knows very well that every time a new head of state comes, they bring in their whole lot. You may survive. Most of the time you are very unlikely. And when President Masisi came in, Jeff, of course, he had been holding that fort since Mogai's days. You can imagine. So that was a long time. And he felt that he had to survive, but Masisi had other plans. I don't blame the president. Everybody who works around the president should be doing that at the grace of the president himself. You do that at his own mercy. If he doesn't want to, you go.
But that's a whole department, Spencer. It looks like it's just died out. Like I said, the short conversation I had with
No, it has not died. But actually, they are trying to rebuild it. I think, there is a former journalist, Montanyana Baitz, is there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. Abraham Mutsokunu, the former journalist, I worked with him also at Botswana. He's there now.
But there's not a... Okay, how do they get that messages across? Because
that's a big one. Because since Batali left,
press conferences,
nobody is really doing that. That's another thing. They've totally neglected the media part of it. They are just there on the communications. That is the communications as the tool to reach out. But they are not doing the media one effectively, especially this one of releasing statements, liaising with the media on the president's tours, the president's schedule and the like. Jeff was doing that very well. But right now, the press secretary is there, but is a press secretary that does not really talk to the press.
I want to, because I think we're going to be running out of time.
Is that so?
Oh, no, I mean, I want to get out as much as possible from Molwane about, even this cabinet. I was talking to my mom the other day about how young these people look. In government, isn't that something that we should compliment Masisi about?
We should.
Is it all?
We should.
What do you think about the people that he's chosen to captain his cabinet?
Look, we should. When it comes to age, I think we should, but also to the diversity. I think he has been very, very careful to put in more women. But then we have also to face it. The president is only dealt this kind of pool by what the electorate choose, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's limited, and then he can only add about 5 or so specially elected MPs. Now he wanted to make 10, which I think was silly.
That was insane.
Insane, yeah, totally insane. Actually, the only reason why I think it was a good thing that thing was thrown out, it was because I couldn't imagine for the life of me a person appointing 10 people.
Buying or when you choose you want. It's not very democratic.
No, it's not. It's not.
And that was a suggestion from which khotla?
I don't know.
Bafana ba di khotla le netse o bua dionyana wa itse. Le tshwareng. Hela go tsosoletse le tsoga gore o tsoletse. Yeah. So no, that's a lot.
So his hand is always limited. Yeah, in who he can choose. But when it comes to age, I think even Batswana have been able to look at Chilibwe Rakhar.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, his age.
Yeah,
you worked with him, I think.
He's my age.
Yeah. And then all of them, Bo Khari. Yeah. But then that thing also cuts across. Look at Ditapelo.
Yeah.
He's stunning. That guy is a very, very good member of parliament.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Sadly, he might lose. Who knows? Very, very unfortunate. Because if we had 4 such people in this country, in parliament, we wouldn't be crying. Just 4.
But how do you build a pedigree like that of Ditapelo where, you know, even I was talking about it, like I said, on another podcast about his ambition and like the fact that he really wanted to be more for his party and his people. And it just looked like it was against what his leader felt at the time. And then they came to loggerheads. It looks like, you know, he might be on his way out. You know. I don't know. How do you build a guy like that? Because we have to find few between.
I agree with you entirely because it's not like what he had intended from the beginning.
It's not at all.
But it has kind of, in a totally unintended way, helped to reveal who he is. Yeah, he has really shown as a leader of opposition.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, look, I have myself as a journalist covered Kenneth Khama was the leader of opposition. Then came people like Boko Salisa and others, Gilson Salishando. But nobody comes anywhere near the quality of that boy. Not boy, sorry. That leader. But because his brain's very smart. Very smart. Yeah. So we needed to bring in more people like that. Even if they're on the BDP side, by the way.
On both ends. I just really feel bad that it had to happen this way. There's no way that this situation could have been avoided. And for those who also feel like maybe Reduma Boko was in Reditapelo Rapetsi's ear, do you think there's any truth to that?
No, even before Botswana Congress Party joined UDC, there were always clash of personalities between Ditapelo Rapetsi and Dumelan Salishando. I think it has all to do with the intellect. Yeah, the younger guy was feeling that he was being suffocated by the bigger guy. Because, you know, Salishando is also a very, very good performer in parliament. He's a star grade member of parliament. But whether it's right or wrong, they didn't kind of get along very well. And then when they joined the umbrella for democratic change,
freedom.
Yes, and then Ditapelo Rapetsi became much closer to Boko, who was from the other side. You see, and then this kind of got the BCP worrying that he was trying to undermine his own leader. And then came a time when really everything collapsed, especially when they were pulling off. And then he said, no, we are not going there. He was one of the guys. I think it was him, Tsere, Mogapi, and Kapinga at the time. Even though Kapinga, of course, backtracked. But there they are. They might also pull it out and win, in which case their loyalty to the project, the UDC, might have paid off. We don't know.
Yeah, that one is a tricky one.
Tricky one.
Especially when you go peak with one. I'm really wondering. Is Mayor Beautyman also standing on
Yes, he's standing against and she also is proving to be very, very formidable. In the mold, I don't think she's a pushover. No,
she's got people on the ground for some. I got friends from Pikwe as well. You know, they're very picky about who they like to uplift as their leaders because of what's going on there. I mean, these high cost houses, it's in a level 4 rooms. It's in about 1.5. So things are really bad in Pico. So they're very switched on about the person that they're gonna get on there.
That's true.
But then the question then comes on, okay, would they really go for opposition when it seems like things usually happen in your town if you've chosen the ruling party or the party that ends up winning?
No, but it was under whose watch when the mine closed? The mine was closed by government. So when you look at Itapelo's track record in Parliament, he's been very, very forceful in talking for those people who were working for Botswana, for BCL, sorry.
His dad used to work for them as well.
So I think he might, if he wins, then I would know that that kind of resonated with those people and they are rewarding him because he's been really upfront. In fact, he has been able to bend the ruling party with the motions that he was coming to agree with him because they felt that they could not just throw away many of the motions he was bringing on the BCL.
Yes, sir. Let's talk a little bit about Rendaba Gaolati. Where is he?
No, Ndaba is back. He's back. Ndaba is a soft-spoken guy, but very, very resolute on whatever he does.
And I say that with no offense at all. I mean, I saw only a clip recently where he was, I don't know if it was their launch, their EP, or I think it was a UDC thing.
Yes.
And he was speaking, I don't know if it was a Molapo crossing or somewhere. And, it was the first time I'd seen him in months.
Yeah. But he's the UDC deputy leader. If he wins, we'll see him more in Parliament now. I agree he's standing in the same constituency that he represented in 2014. So he's there, he's back. Maybe, of course, you would say he has not been able to fill in the boots left by Dumela and Salishando, if you believe those are too big boots to fill.
But do you think that's the type of deputy that Reboko is comfortable with?
Yes,
the very much.
Yeah, because they have different personalities. Ndaba is not a combative guy. He doesn't like confrontation, especially an open one. But he's very principled. But also, Boko is a big weakness for him on things like finance, on like policy. So he needs Ndaba's brains, which that are his strengths. So if you look at Boko's speeches, his presentations, they've very much improved since Ndaba came back, especially on issues of policy and finance.
Right. No, I mean, I like to hear that. I like to hear where, you see me for the best that I have. I see you for the best that you have.
They complement each other.
Because I think that's what opposition really hasn't been looking at a lot of the time. It's always be that disdain for BDP, instead of how can I make you better. Which is why I thought it was a bit regressive for the BCP to feel comfortable with letting go of 5 parliamentary seats. And how then do you come back from that? And it always feels like they are restarting.
And don't forget where Ndaba is coming from. His father was Minister of Finance. He's from a BDP family. And then he's from that crop that initially left with Motswalid during the fight to BMT. And this Ndaba guy is the one who decided, among others, of course, that he's never going to go back. Many people have gone back. Bobanks, that everybody talks about Banks. People forget that.
But I always want to hear what Rabo Salontuani thinks about the stuff. And he's like very neutral to some extent. But they are some of those people who really made that thing happen.
Let me tell you about Ntuani because I've known him for quite a while. Ntuani is a political animal. So, so for people to see him out of politics for this long, then they also have to know how much or how long he has suffered because he's a kind of guy who really relishes politics. I think he has made a decision. It's a very deliberate decision that he was not going to be anywhere near Masisi government because he doesn't want to be seen to be obstructing it in anyhow. There are time in the BDP Central Committee when Ntuani was Secretary General, Masisi the chairman. It was not the best of times because they were always clashing on different issues where the party was going. So I think he was kind of respecting, no, this guy is time. I'm not going to be anywhere near because I don't want to be accused of blocking him or trying to distract him. Let him run with his government. I will take a back seat. Now you see him all over when there are elections from the region. He goes to be a monitor ko DRC, ko Lesotho, ko Swaziland, ko Mozambique and the like. Is the path that he has chosen.
No doubt. And he's not backtracking at all.
He's not backtracking.
I think the politics one of the other side.
And you don't want to go.
And speaking about that, with leadership positions within the ruling party, you know, where is Mavensen Mutoi?
We have to face it. Mavensen Mutoi is not a young woman anymore. She's an old person. It's a pity how she was treated. Especially that thing where people doubted her citizenship. That was a sad way for her to leave active politics. But look, she could come as an advisor. She her experience in government is a steady hand, I think, that Masisi needs. Sadly for her, she would not agree to come as an ordinary minister. She would not accept anything less than the VP.
No, come on, put her on. And another one is Dr. Matseka, another person who refuses to come to the show. I'm going to put everyone on blast because I don't know. What do you think of Dr. Matseka's political career and, you know, the ups and downs, mainly the downs that happened? How, you know, was he misled into leaving his corporate life to come into this space where, you know, you can be accused of things that, you know, you have nothing to... Well, they're still in front of the courts, I think, but like...
that's a different matter. I'll tell you one thing. I don't think he was misled. I think he took a deliberate decision to try his hand in politics. And he won elections.
Yes, he won. In
and
a long time. I mean, it's always been an opposition stronghold.
No, you're right.
Ramudubule was there for a while.
And then he was chosen Minister of Finance. What more can you ask for? If you are
but then what happened, Spence?
And then I think his personality also clashed with that of the president. From what I hear is that he felt that cabinet was not pushing the agenda that they had promised at election time.
Okay.
You'd also imagine Canada, that was around COVID. He felt very strongly that things were not moving. I have not myself talked to him about exactly why he left. And then he was accused of being too ambitious. He wanted, I think, at one time to become the chairman of the party, which is not it's not a crime.
The politics, what are the rules of politics? Like, I never understand them. How ambitious you become a threat.
Especially because the chairmanship was held by the vice president, as he still is holding it. So they fell out, and it was a very, very untidy. He had to leave. So he has said it in his statement when he was bidding Parliament farewell that, he will be back. Same with Mpobalo. He said, I'm not lost to politics. I'm not lost to the BDP. I'm here.
I don't know who Spence. It's like, you hear the names you just mentioned. These are businessmen. These are men who are out here doing their best in Botswana. Or you can say who have attained the Botswana dream to some extent. And you think, okay, cool, now they want to serve.
They want to serve,
And the very fact that they've been in these streets and that they're ambitious individuals is how then that becomes the undoing when they get into public life. So anyone who wants to get into politics, really, you shouldn't be ambitious.
You should be. And there shouldn't be any issue, especially when that was what we started with, that Masisi promised everything. And he wanted everybody to basically fulfill what they dreamt of.
But you want to do, this is your chance to do it.
In fact, I will empower you. But then when it came to his succession plan, I think somehow Masika was interfering, or he felt Masika was interfering with him. He blocked him. And then it became very, very untight. We all know how he was sacked. In fact, if left up to the day, he's the only cabinet minister sacked under Masisi I can think of now.
That was a sad day, but like all that other stuff, we were more the vlogs and more. Keep that away from us, man.
No, that's gossip.
Because I mean, how does it even connect? And we're talking about the death of the young kid who was in Lobatse, and then there was this connection between the former minister Leon. A lot of people thought that was mudslinging, and it was meant to deface him.
But
exactly. By who?
No, I mean, that is exactly what we talked about, that, once you have these intelligence services, agencies, being what politically inclined in their decisions, that it leads to it. They leads to a lot of mistrust. Yeah. He still believes to this day that he was set up.
Yeah.
Everything was trammed up. That he didn't even have to be manhandled.
The way
television
that
brought to,
there were cameras everywhere.
Yeah. So you ask yourself, same thing. I think people would say, have there really been a real change on the ground? I don't know.
Let's look at all three political parties at this point in time. It doesn't look like anyone is trying to relinquish power anytime soon. Duma, I don't know when there was going to be a change in the leadership. UDC. Sarashando has been there for years now. I think close to 2 decades now. Masisi, because of that constitution, I think something will happen after he finishes his second term. In these parties, is it fair to believe that you're just supposed to play your role and just appease the boss and you'll be okay? Is that what we're supposed to think about everyone else who's in there? Or, all right, they're in there because they haven't tried, or they don't feel you can question leadership. For being a leader, you can try and be a leader one day.
I know what you are asking me. You are basically saying, do I think Duma, Boko, and Salishando should, if they lose, call it a day? I think so.
Because at this point,
I think so.
Both of them at it.
People often forget that Salishando has been in the central committee of the BCP from day one, since the party was formed. I
try to tell someone what's different between him and his dad gave it to him. Pretty much.
So I think now both of them should really, I think, consider
calling it a day.
Especially if they don't win. If Salishando wins power, he should be supported to continue. If Boko wins power, but if they don't, both of them, because now they would become a hindrance as they are now. Their personalities are a real block when it comes to these unity talks.
Yes, sir.
But also not just him. Ian Khama should also reconsider his position going forward after these elections. Does he still want to be the patron?
The patron, what
no, he's being a godfather or a supreme leader.
Again, a supreme leader. Oh my word. All right, I think we're about to wrap it up, Bros.
Yes.
As far as going forward, the constitution review. Is this a real thing that Batswana really should be Googling and checking out? And with the round, just the where Hampurin Namola or because I think a lot of us weren't paying attention to it. But it nearly became law. So what is this thing? Is it what questions should we be asking as the citizenry or about this constitutional review?
And that's really a very sad thing, because the constitutional review is one thing that everybody agreed on.
We all wanted
going into elections of 2019. Whether you're talking about UDC, whether you're talking about BCP, whether you're talking about BDP, it is the only item they could agree on that we need it. And President Masisi, I think he really wanted to do it. But in the end, it was contaminated by the motives of things that were just coming from the sides. It was no longer what he had promised. There was this thing of entrenching his own. Why does he need to appoint 10 specially elected? Why? He's already too powerful. In fact, if it was the same Masisi who took us into elections 2019, he would be so generous as to say these powers that President Botswana should be reduced. Now he wants to increase them and entrench them. That's not the constitutional review. I think it will be revisited, and whoever does it well as a leader, they will be forever be in the minds of Batswana. That is a legacy that will never be erased by anyone.
Definitely. And then just as an editor, the information, the freedom of information situation, Botswana, where are we at with that right now?
I think the law is still not there. Even though I know Minister for Presidential Affairs had promised it more than twice. I think it's just a matter of time. It will come.
Yeah.
They are, at least in principle. You'd remember also that when he was Minister for Presidential Affairs, that Masisi, he also promised it.
Right.
That was when Dumelan Salishando had brought in a private bill.
Hey.
Yeah, private members bill, and then they rejected
I
it.
remember that
yes,
one.
Yeah, but look, you guys who are still involved in the media
Yes, sir.
should push for it. This thing is not for the media, by the way. It's for the nation.
Yeah.
Yeah, because any Motswana can use it. The media often talk as if it's theirs, but also the nation often talk as that's for the media. It's not. It
So
belongs
this
to
means you
anyone.
can get access to anything that pertains to
You see,
the government of Botswana.
you write, and you write any ministry. If they don't give you that information, you approach the courts to say, I wrote this particular, and then the courts evaluate and they order them to give you the. There will be, of course, be exceptions, and it will be clarified, especially on security issues and the like. But ordinarily, these things that they say they are for government only, your eyes only as the peers, it's rubbish. They will become for every Motswana, whoever wants the information, you just write and you get it.
Guys, if you are in the media, please, or just as a general citizen of Botswana, find out about the Freedom of Information Act.
Yeah.
Because you should be asking,
Yeah.
what do they think about that? Because whistleblowers,
Yeah,
you can protect them as well.
Yeah, they did, but the law is there, but it did not go far enough.
Yeah, whistleblower.
Yeah, a whistleblower. Yeah, we felt very strongly that it could have been made, but it's a good start.
But where we at right now, how you can, if you go and report and you're a civil servant, how do you?
No,
how
the
are you
protections are there,
protected?
but they don't go far enough. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
you are still protected, even though, of course, they can be taken away from you again on certain terms.
Okay.
That's the difference where people are arguing that, no. We feel that this blanket of protections is not thick enough. Can we strengthen the whistleblower law more than what we have already?
Guys, Les Spencer is definitely going to come back into the house as usual. It's always a pleasure talking to you, man.
Yeah.
And I'm updated. I know what's going on.
Thank you, much. It's been a
definitely
pleasure.
see you.
Thank
It's been
you.
a pleasure. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that's how we come to the end of our PODI-CAST for today. Make sure that you vote.
Very important. Very important.
Come on. You can't be walking around, I don't vote. No, this is about your future, your children's future, and your families, okay? So let's make sure that we know everything that we need to know, that when we vote on the 30th of October, Scorpio season, baby. And then, you are ready. Thank you so much, and see you next week, Wednesday, right here on the PODI-CAST on the Local Corner Multimedia YouTube page. We out.
Thank you.
Different identities. Podcast with BCP.
Welcome back, guys. You're still on the PODI-CAST, hanging out with your boy SCAR, and this is the part of the show where we talk to our very own Dr. Kiran from Campus Green Day Hospital. You can check them out right House Akakobo Daily Grind. When you're coming from the main mall, you're going down or hit the street to join the main road. You should be able to see the clinic right on your left hand side, okay, or on your right. Hey, dyslexic, wherever. It
Right
should
hand
be
side.
on the right side of the road. And then, you can check out Dr. Kiran and, check out what they have in store for you over there. But today, as usual, on every single Wednesday, we get to catch up with him about these non-communicable diseases, plus more. But, we've been having this series where we've covered all of these cardiovascular diseases. We talked about hypertension. We've talked about a lot of them. But today, we're going to talk about another one which is more scarier than the ones that we've already talked about. And I'm talking about cancer. And to talk about it in the house is Dr. Kiran. Hello, sir. How are you doing?
Hi, Oscar. How are you?
I'm great.
Good.
Yeah, when you said we're talking about cancer today, my body felt it. I felt like, hey, this one is going to be a heavy one. I don't even know where to start. I mean, how does one get cancer?
Well, look, as you said very rightly, cancer is quite a scary condition.
Yeah.
I think even if you had to do a poll in Botswana, go to any mall and ask people randomly, okay, what don't you want, Cancer, diabetes, hypertension. The first thing will be cancer, right? Now, cancer is also classified as an NCD, and it is non-communicable. As I told you in the first episode, it's unique. You've got cancer that stays with you.
Yeah.
Person coming into contact is not going to get that cancer. So let's try to understand cancer better. First.
Okay.
So in order to understand cancer, you have to go back to the most basic unit of life, which is the cell. So the cell is a single entity on its own. It has all the ingredients to grow, to divide, to survive, and to run its daily functions. So every single organ is made of a number of cells. Okay. When you have these cells coming together, you get a tissue. A number of tissues make an organ. So the cell is the most... Yes, the biology, right?
Yeah, I'm
so
sure guys did.
this cell is amazing because we told you even the cholesterol, it makes these membranes, and so it's fully, it's enclosed and it's got everything going on. So in order to run all these functions, whether it's to produce hormones or do anything, or even produce antibodies or whatever it is for the immune system, it has to have some genetic material which is stored in the nucleus. So that genetic material dictates how the cell goes about. So the cell has its own cycle. Just like as human beings, we have a life cycle. We're born, we grow, we die. The same way a cell has the same type of cycle.
Okay.
This is because of the genetic material, the DNA.
Okay.
Now, you've heard this term called mutations before, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So when mutations happen, when there's a change in the DNA of the cell, for some reason, for any cancer-causing stimulus, these are called carcinogens. Anything that can cause cancer is called a carcinogen.
Okay.
So there are different types. We'll go through those. But when this nucleic acids, the nuclear material, which is necessary for the cell growth, for anything that the cell has to do, has a mutation in it, things go wrong now.
Mutation is like multiplying.
No, mutation means
copies itself.
Yes, the thing is there's a mutation. There's a certain code that the genes have to have. Once you change one of those things from here to there, that's a mutation.
Oh, okay.
And because of that now, the cell is not doing the same thing it has to do.
It changes what it's been doing
Yes,
in the body.
so it might start overgrowing, it might start dividing, it might not start dying, but basically it's an overgrowth of tissue cells because of mutations.
So that's why they keep saying sometimes that the cancer has grown.
Yes, that's what happens because the cell has lost control. The nuclear material, the nucleus is no longer functioning properly. So because of these mutations, which can be caused by a number of things, like, your physical agents, your different types of sunlight, your ionizing, non-ionizing radiations, your X-rays, nuclear bombs, when they go off, they leave a lot of radiation. These can cause cancers. You have some chemicals, synthetic chemicals that can cause cancers, whether you're talking about pesticides or even in smoking, you have almost 5,000 chemicals in that cigarette smoke, which can cause cancer. So there are so many carcinogens, and even viruses and bacteria can cause cancers. So there are a number of things that can cause cancers. And remember, you're saying that cancer occurs at the cellular level, and the whole body is made of a number of cells, right? So basically, any part of the body, you name it, we could have cancer.
Definitely. Because I'm thinking about it. So this means something has to affect you at a cellular level.
Yes.
And then that's when it now trickles down into becoming a cancer, and then
a growth, a growth which is not supposed to be there.
It's not supposed to be there.
So
I want to know about that. How many of it is naturally caused by your body just reacting, and how much of this is caused by carcinogens in a breakdown, in a ratio type? How many cancer patients come from it coming genetically, or how much of it is given by, let's say, you smoke too much?
It's hard to say, but you see, if you talk about genetic makeup, as I said, if you have a relative who has a cancer like breast cancer or any prostate cancer, then obviously you are at increased risk of having these kind of cancers. So that is one thing. It's hard to give you a ratio exactly how it goes. But you're talking about the genetic makeup, you can't do anything about it. So how can you prevent cancers? Now you're talking about these kind of things like smoking and all other kind of things that you can try to reduce.
Definitely. So is it curable?
Look, with cancer, the thing is, first of all, just like anything else, prevention is better than cure. But forget prevention. Most of the problems with cancer is it's detected in the last stages. People's negligence again. Symptoms start and you decide to not take care of it. You don't get screened, you don't get checked out. It's usually caught in the last stages when it's spread to different places. So it is, if caught in early stages, it is curable. But as it progresses, it becomes hard because cancer usually spreads. There are two types of cancers. You have the benign and malignant. The malignant are the worst. They spread around. So those are the ones that you have difficulty treating. The benign ones are things that you can have surgery for and you're done with it. So, that's cancer.
So how do you get early detection? Do you go to to Compass Green Day and get a full body check out, or do you wait for something to happen? Because I think a lot of us don't go to hospital to check for certain things like a full body checkout. You just go there when you have a cough, when you feel something is wrong.
Of course.
And which is why I guess it goes undetectable. What would you suggest to someone just to make sure that they're in check with what might be happening in their body?
There are over 200 different cancers. So obviously you can't screen for everything.
200?
200 different types. Every place there's a cell in the body, whether it's the skin, the bone, the eyes, any place, the heart, you can get a cancer. So how can you screen for everything? You can't. But there are the major cancers, like in men and women. Mm-hmm. Now, the interesting fact is they say that 1 in 2 men or 1 in 3 women will be diagnosed with cancer at some point in life.
1, 2.
So, yes, you can do the counting and you can get scared.
I hate doing that. When people come up with those ratios, I'm like...
I mean, yes, it's hard to believe those ratios, but maybe it's true because, this runs in families. So you see that you have the son, the father, everyone having the same kind of cancer as well. So it does happen. But you can't screen for everything. But if you look at the major cancers, okay, in men, you can do a blood test to screen for prostate cancer, okay? In women, cancer of the cervix. A blood test, yes. It's a needle, yes, but it's worth it.
So it's not what we've been, shown on TV.
Well,
where
there are other ways.
Gets too familiar with you.
Yes, I mean that also is one way of screening. That's an uncomfortable way. But now we have a blood test which can basically say, hey, okay, you might have this. Let's do further tests. Mm-hmm. So that's a screening tool. Now, with the most common cancers in women, breast cancer, we have mammograms, which we can do, and that can screen for breast cancer. And obviously, pap smears for cancer of the cervix. So these are the cancers that you can screen for.
Cancer of the cervix?
Yes, it's a very, very dangerous cancer.
I can imagine.
Yes, indeed.
Man, women have it hard.
Definitely.
There's always something popping up. So I want to know about the most common ones in Botswana. Are there any common cancers?
In men, you are talking about prostate cancer.
Definitely.
There's throat and lung cancer. And there's another cancer of the skin called Kaposi sarcoma, which is usually in HIV patients. Mm-hmm. In women, breast cancer and cancer of the cervix. Mm-hmm. So these are the ones that we can say are the main cancers, but any cancer is possible because at the cellular level, any mutation can cause a cancer. So we have to be careful.
So is it like a death sentence when someone finds out that they have cancer? I mean, what are your options when you are diagnosed with
cancer? It's not a death sentence. I think we should stay positive because different types of cancers have different types of treatment, different types of people. You see, cancer is unique. Every person's cancer is different. I mean, if you have 2 different people having the same kind of cancer, you'll see that the way they respond to treatment is different. So first of all, a positive frame of mind is very important. There are treatments from surgery to chemotherapy to radiation therapy in order to kill these cancer cells. But, first we have to try our best. We shouldn't lose hope. We should be positive because I think it's possible to be cured of cancer. I've seen a lot of success cases. Yeah. But you also see the others that go the other way, and that's what's worrying. But it's something to be... Yes, to be a bit more proactive about screening for cancer.
And with all of these remissions, I mean, I don't know, because we want to be positive. I always feel like, why do people always announce when there's a remission, when there's a possibility of it coming again? Or are those the small wins that you think people should really, enjoy when they do happen? Or is it just too early to say that it's completely gone?
I think there are many people when diagnosed with cancer, they get treated and they don't really tell anyone because, they think it's not nice for people to know. Those who've been through that kind of pain, agony, anxiety, when there's remission, I guess it's time to celebrate. But be wary. And most of those in remission are wary that this can come back. And they're on medications, whether breast cancer, survivors and all. So I think cancer is a disease, well, it's something to respect. And anyone who survived should be very grateful. Yeah. Because it can go either way, I think.
Awesome stuff. Hey, I'm going to get you out of here. Summer is back.
Yes, indeed.
We need to get you a fan.
It's a bit hot in here.
It's burning, and we're so happy you're able to
No,
come
thank you.
through.
It's a bit lighting as well. That's also
No, guys, go over to Compass Green Day. They have good air conditioning that side as well. Thank you so much,
Thank
Dr.
you very
Kevin.
much, Ska.
And we will see you again next week.
Sure. Thanks.
All right, guys, and that brings us to the end of our show. Please make sure that you check yourself out for, especially on the prostate, gents. We never really know. And ladies, you get taught about also how you can check for yourself as well.
Self-breast examination. Yes.
Always make sure that you do have a doctor on standby at least to go and check out everything that you possibly can. My name is SCAR, and this has been your Podicast. I'm out of here. Check you guys out. Yeah, next week. Peace.
People of different identities.